This is a lesson in drawing the structure for each ester produced in our Ester lab. The name of the reactions were called condensation reactions. That was the type. Lab analysis question 1 in the Ester lab asked us to draw the ester formed, so the product, other than water, from the condensation reaction. Here are the list of the products in our 5 test tubes. This is how you would draw them, and notice that these are all hydrocarbons. So octyl, as we mentioned, means that it has 8 carbons total, and so we can draw them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. They kind of bend. Each of these carbons has hydrogen bonded to it to make it a full octet. So this carbon would have 2 hydrogens, so it makes 4 bonds, and this carbon would have 2 hydrogens. But for simplicity, we can just draw the skeletal structure with the functional group hanging off the end. And because we're drawing esters, we need to include the COO functional group for each structure or ester formed. Okay, so here it could be off the very first carbon, and it would look like this. Double bond, so this C is double bonded to an O, and also single bonded to an O. So the C makes 1, 2, 3, 4 bonds. That's what the carbons do. And that would be octyl ethanoate. Pentyl ethanoate would be very similar, except it would only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons. Each carbon would be at the top and the bottom of this zigzag structure, or skeletal structure of pentyl ethanoate. And then you can really put the functional group off any of the carbons, but for simplicity, we will have the functional group off the end carbon. So this carbon has a double bond O and a single bond O. And this is the CO group, or the functional group. So you can see, because we don't have all the C's and H's written, it's easy to see what type of molecule it is. Ethyl benzoate. Now, benzoic acid was a powder, and you had to measure its mass out using an electronic balance. Because it's a ring structure, each of these is a carbon here. We don't have to write C, but it's an implied C. And every other bond is a double bond to fulfill that octet. And then we write the CO group off one of these. So here's the functional group for ethyl benzoate. Methyl salicylate, or salicylate, was also a ring structure you can get from the first page of this lab. Gives you the structure for salicylic acid. And so it's a ringed hydrocarbon with double bonds on between every other carbon. And then the difference between salicylic acid and benzoic acid is that this has an OH group, and also the functional group. And it's an ester, methyl, YL. It's an ester, so it has a double bond O, C double bond O, C single bond O, and we've got our CO group. Okay? And then the final test tube 5 ester produced is ethyl ethanoate. Okay? Ethyl means it only has 2 carbons. And if it has 2 carbons, it'll stay in a straight line. Each of these carbons has an H bonded to it. And off, let's say, the second carbon, we'll have the CO group, identifying it as, of course, an ester. This should help you complete lab esters and answer and be able to draw the structures for the esters formed. and as required by lab analysis question number 1.